All right, Inappropriate Earl. It's been a big week for us. We had the great legendary wrestler Chavo Guerrero on, and he was awesome, told some great wrestling stories. We've got some big-name guests coming in, but today I'm very excited. You know, I often talk about the 80s, the Sunset Strip, because I was around it. Wasn't in it, but I was around it. This next guest was knee-deep in it, because his band, the Great Blackboard Jungle, was a big-time player toward the end of the Strip, Sunset Glory days, but they were there. Please give it up, Mr. Britt Pennella.
How you doing?
I'm honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Because there's not many people from that era who are still around.
I know.
I mean, you guys, it's so hard to describe that era to people.
It really is. It was incredible, man.
Because there's nothing around today like it. Just the scene. Sunset now is like a desert.
I had a friend that said it was like heavy metal Saturday Night Fever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It truly was. Like it was mind blowing.
I mean, Gazzari's is now One Oak, which is, I think, Jay-Z's franchised, let's just say, urban nightclub.
Yes.
The Whiskey and the Roxy are pay-to-play bands.
Yeah.
Varying quality, and the Viper Rooms, hit or miss. And
I remember Kim Fowley told me after he named our band, he taught me everything. But after Hollywood Boulevard got its big makeover, he said they're turning every major city after Times Square that happened into adult theme parks with oversized sodas and so family friendly, and that it would eventually happen to the Strip, and it seems like it's happening.
Well, I know, I think a couple years ago there was a business article on the hotels of the Sunset Strip having like a 95% occupancy rate. And ever since that article, you've had all these chain hotels coming in and, our condominium complexes. That's what the House of Blues is going to be now. And,
it seems that my buddy Jamie, he used to DJ at Metal School when it was at the Key Club, whatever.
Viper. Key Club.
Key Club. He works at the Viper. He's a Sunset Strip legend himself, and he said that he feels that what's going to happen is they're going to build so many hotels around here and keep just enough rainbow whiskey so that it's like little Hard Rock Cafe-esque monuments. So there's a reason that the hotels have to be there.
Well, that's what I love about the Rainbow. It's like the bar in Star Wars. It is the last man standing.
Dude, I have friends. My girlfriend just hates me that I think it's probably the greatest place on earth. I don't think there's a place that I feel more at home and just like my mind gets blown every time I go there.
I mean, I try and explain it to people, and you just can't. It's like you could sit in a booth and you could have an Axl Rose impersonator to your right, and to your left is Axl Rose.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's mind blowing.
And of course Ron Jeremy at some table.
Yes.
Trying to mooch French fries or something.
I don't think Fig is there with his purple car and his cat, or remember a monkey on his shoulder. And
there's a cat on the shoulder.
Cat on the shoulder with the
who we're talking about is Paul Fegan, who used to. I guess his claim to fame was he was Heidi Fleiss's lawyer.
Yes.
And he would ride around Sunset and Santa Monica Boulevard in a purple Stutz. He had a cat on his shoulder, a live cat, at all times. And he would, when I would see him, he would go to every table at the Rainbow, usually young girls, and do card tricks.
Yes. He was a lot like we would say he's like that guy Kazoo. Remember in
right.
Flintstones? He's dumb. He's, I guess, in the 60s and 70s, a huge attorney.
Yeah, I mean, he was always around the scene, and he would have these crazy, I don't know if you'd call them after-hours parties, but...
up the street from the whiskey, and it was mind-blowing because he would have chains on the refrigerator. Is that definitely not dude-friendly. Definitely didn't want a lot of dudes, but we'd obviously make it up there, and he'd have chains on the cabinets when he would have it. It was so weird to me.
But I could see you going there because you're in a big band, and I think he liked having guys in bands around because he knew chicks would be.
Yeah.
Me, it was kind of like I just through word of mouth, got the address, and
Yeah.
it's definitely, yeah, you're right. Definitely not dude friendly.
Yeah.
And I see him still to this day, but not as often as I used to. Oh, we got some sounds coming here. Got like 3 computers looking up information on you. So let's get into your story.
Okay.
From Jersey.
Grew up in pretty much Freehold, New Jersey. And I would just sit and just study album after album, the Guns, the just glam. I like Springsteen, obviously being from there because someone had done it, from the town. So that's just like, Springsteen wasn't as much music as if you grew up in like a sports team. You know what I mean? It's just, and when I was a kid, this dude that looked like Jesus was on the Time and Newsweek at all the restaurants. I never got it. And in fact, I had a chance to meet him. But I was like, he's not Kiss when I was in 2nd grade to my babysitter, and that's just that guy that looks like Jesus, so I don't want to go.
Was Kiss, like for me, I'm 46, Kiss to me was like the end-all, be-all.
Yeah, I'm 46. I mean, Kiss was just, come on. I saw them, actually was lucky enough in 2nd grade, I got to go to Madison Square Garden, and the Detectives opened up. I remember that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my parents brought me, and people love this story. I went in my aunt's gremlin, and it was so larger than life that I was going that I put a Campbell's soup can in my satin jacket. And when they frisked me, they asked why I had it, and I told them because I was going to throw it at Gene Simmons' head to know that he was real. Because it was like they were super. Right. I was really, as a kid in 2nd grade, I just thought it was okay. I was going to impale the demon with the soup can in his head just to know that he was real. I thought that was my way of touching him, and it was like that was the beginning. So they took away my soup can and laughed.
Well, I'm still not sure if Gene is real or not.
I have 2 good Gene stories. The last one was I went to Vegas to see the Kiss show in Vegas, and he did his book signing. And I went with my girlfriend to the. I'll send you this picture. I actually have it, and it's our turn to go. And for some reason, I guess it was one of his friendly days where Kiss mini golf. And he looks at my girlfriend and he goes to me, "How much for her?" And I just, "You can have her, Gene." And she goes, "You can have me." He goes, "Yeah, what's wrong with you?" And they both, "You're going to have to make up for this later, young man."
That's awesome.
And we took the picture, and it looks like I'm photoshopped in because he's so with her and I'm so to the side over there.
Yeah, why it doesn't surprise me that Gene would, buddy up to the girl over the boyfriend.
Yes.
But how many times did you end up seeing Kiss? I mean, I've probably seen them 40 times.
Oh, yeah, but definitely non-makeup Kiss. I mean, we've done the makeup. I'm obsessed with non-makeup Kiss, like you're hot in the shade over there.
Right.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's just incredible to me. I mean, obviously, when I could play my instrument was non-makeup Kiss. Non-makeup Kiss. I love Kiss, everything, but non-makeup Kiss is just so much to dig into. And Chuck Klosterman, do you know who that is?
Oh, sure.
He wrote that amazing thing on The Elder. That just now this year, The Elder is just a whole nother thing to me. I mean, it's just,
which I think is one of their better albums from a technical standpoint.
Yeah. Can you imagine being Eric Carr, though, and you're in the band, you think you're getting in Kiss, and you're like, this is the album you're making?
You're like, wow, this is, Dynasty, Love Gun, and they're like, let's do I think that was Kiss trying to prove to the critics, hey, we can do a Pink Floyd, The Wall album.
Yeah.
Because I know they had huge plans for that. They were going to make a movie on it, starring the Kid. Now, this is really digging deep into obscure references, but if you ever saw the movie My Bodyguard.
Oh, yeah.
The kid in that movie, he was going to, whatever the Elder was going to revolve around, he was going to be the star.
He was going to be the boy.
Yeah, he probably was. And so I always bumps me out that the Elder just, whatever, just bad timing.
Yeah. I mean, it's mind-blowing now. And then my funny Gene Simmons story that everybody laughs about, when Blackboard Jungle was kind of at our height, and it looked like we might get a record deal. Brent Muscat from Faster Pussycat was kind of managing, producing, doing everything for us, and he was tight with Kiss. Gene loved Faster Pussycat, brought him on tour a few times. So he came down to our show at the Whiskey, and we played, and I guess he thought we were good, and he called for me, summoned for me with Brent, and I met him, and he goes, young man, tell me why you're, and it, very Kim Fowley-esque. It's the same breed. Tell me why you're going to be number one in the world. And I was like, dude, it's because we mix Prince with, and he goes, stop right there. You will never make it because you use the word dude, and dude is a word of the past. And he walked away. And that was it.
Well, the words of wisdom.
The word, he was right. I mean, we didn't make it.
Well, but I mean, you guys, I always liken Blackboard Jungle to probably one of my favorite Sunset Strip bands, Shark Island.
Right.
And it's a compliment.
Oh, thank you. No.
Like, it's like, why didn't these guys make it? And of course, everyone has their different version of what making it is.
Right.
But I just thought that both you guys should have deserved better.
Yeah. Well, what was cool was, Shark Island, obviously, when I was in New Jersey reading about these bands just frothing at the mouth. I mean, it was like some fantasy land. Like, Shark Island was, the person that influenced Axl Rose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I literally it was my senior year. I'd had a lot of Sunset Strip, but I went to see Guns N' Roses instead of going to my prom at L'Amour's in Brooklyn. And I actually wasn't allowed to go, so I made a kid come over, my friend Joe Howard, and put him in my bed to act like my body because the Guns were going to go on at like 2 a.m. or something.
Right.
Eventually, my dog found him, and I came home, and I was dead. But I just literally said, I'm moving to California graduation night. It's just it. I'm going to Hollywood. It was just so mind-blowing because I wasn't into punk rock like DRI and Black Flag or cool. It just wasn't my thing. I like Rat, Crew, Poison, but just Guns. It was just mind-blowing at L'Amour's, and I was like, I'm going. And it was just such a mind-blowing thing to see. And
I mean, I remember I used to play hockey Sunday nights at the Culver City ice rink, and one of the guys, it was a real ragtag group of guys playing, and one of them was Rocky George, the guitar player from Suicidal Tendencies, and he somehow got a early release of Appetite, and he put it over the PA system. He's like, you guys are going to love this band. I had never heard of them, and it's like, wow, this is different. This isn't Poison. This isn't Warren.
No.
It was almost like, because you were there. Am I wrong to say they were almost a forerunner to grunge? I mean, they were so much different than the Poisons, the Warrants, the Britney Foxes. Like, they to me were like the first end of the glam era.
Yeah, I really think, like, you're totally right. I will argue this to the end of time that record. If Axl Rose blew his head off, it would have Kurt Cobain be nothing compared to that. That record changed it all, and I've discussed it with many people from the grunge era. That record just really just changed it. It was real. It was insane how good it was, and it just was like mind blowing.
I mean, I remember driving by Geffen Records one day, which was, I don't want to get too local with references for people who aren't from L.A., but it's basically right before Sunset and Doheny, or was. And I remember seeing them stand outside, and they looked like 5 homeless guys.
Yeah.
And it was them. Because I remember Steven Adler's like blonde
yeah.
mane and slash of the top hat, and I was like, that was those guys.
Well, I had seen, I'm sure you saw the same thing. We're the same ages. There was a Rip magazine, and they had a spread, and it was them in hindsight at El Compadre. And the singer didn't look like the singer, because Duff usually looks, the singers were blonde, and
right.
This little red-haired guy. And I read about it, and Jamie and I, actually, my friend, we were the guys in New Jersey into it, and I waited for that first EP. I remember my girlfriend said to me, my ex-girlfriend had come to visit me, she said, you have a deal. We can have sex, or we can drive across the state to where your friend has that tape and tape it. And I said, we're driving across the state and taping it.
Wow.
And I got the Live Like a Suicide, and I was so disappointed, because it was good, but it didn't really blow my mind.
Right.
Because the EP was out first, and then when Appetite came out, it sounded like there were 9 singers. It was just like, I'm still not the same. It's crazy just how it made me move to California. We all came out here. Everybody that was there was just, you lived here. We came because of that band.
Yeah, it was because it was so different than what was big at the time. I think David Lee Roth was still fairly big, and that was when he would have the girls with the big tits in his videos, and Rat was still pretty big, and Bon Jovi, of course, was just mammoth. And then that Welcome to the Jungle video came out, and it was like, these guys they don't look like Warrant in the all-white jumpsuits.
And then you'd come to Hollywood and you'd be at Hollywood Western and they'd be at a party. I remember being like, wait, they're blasting Noriega out of the house with these guys' music, and they're sitting in Hollywood and Western partying. And what always struck me, I was telling somebody, is like, if you saw 2 or 3 of them in a room, the energy would just explode. I can't imagine those 5 or however many in their 20s sitting there in Gardner Street. Just must have been insane.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about Kiss a little earlier. I always read that Paul Stanley was considered to produce Appetite, and I just can't imagine what that. That's 87-ish. That's right around the Crazy Nights era.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Paul Stanley working with those 5 guys.
Oh yeah, and well, what's funny is Paul Stanley, when we got produced by Brent Muscat from Faster Pussycat, he did a really good job. He got us on click tracks, vocals, got our songs better. Our competition band at that time, do you remember Bad Blood?
Oh, absolutely.
The singer of Blackboard Jungle was living with the singer of Bad Blood, and they were being produced by Gene and Paul.
Okay.
And you'd think that they would do better, but somehow they just killed, their band just wasn't happening. And we're across the hall in Hollywood and Western, and Brent would be there till 5 a.m. And Bad Blood would work with Kiss, and they'd like do a few songs, rearrange a few things, and then they'd go bowling at Jerry's Deli in the Valley. We would be there till 5 a.m. just knocking it out, and it was just like you could see that they're probably better with like a Firehouse, something more polished or something like that.
Some band that they could bring Desmond Child in to write one of those sappy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Keel.
Oh, Right to Rock. And,
yeah, come on.
I mean, was there like pressure? Like, was there a point? Because you guys, I don't want to say got there late.
You could say whatever. Dude, it was obviously late. It didn't feel late to us. It felt exploding.
Because you guys came out in '88. I mean, you started.
I moved out here in '88. At '89, I'd read 2 names in the back. 3 names in the back of a lot of albums. One was Bridget Wright, who managed Jet Boy, Guns N' Roses, and we worked with her. Vicki Hamilton, who we never worked with, who eventually said some very nice things about Blackboard Jungle, which blew my mind, and Kim Fowley.
Legend. I mean, you don't get any more.
So I was like, we have to find these people, and trust me, like when I landed here, I remember sitting outside Gazzari's, like pulling my short hair, looking at a picture of Burnett, going, can I do this? How am I going to do it? And what's funny is our buddy Stevie, I'd read about Tough, and just like Tough were like genetically correct rock stars in Rock Scene magazine. I used to work at Acme. I would just look like, oh man, I mean, look at this band, the logo, the whole thing was amazing. And I was like, oh, I still got to go and try. And I met Stevie like my first night up on the Strip, and he was beyond cool. He was not fucked up. He was just like amazing, and we've been friends ever since. And he taught me lots of things. I didn't know what a proof sheet was. He brought me to the Tough Muff Mansion a few days later, and he gave me a cassette. I remember it had Warrant, Heaven on it, some Tough songs, and he just really schooled me and gave me a good push off.
Oh, Stevie Rochelle. Now, full disclosure, I advertise on his site, Metal Sludge. I can't say enough nice things about him. And
yeah, he's great.
I would say, and a lot of people think I dislike Eddie Trunk, but along with Eddie, probably the only 2 people who actively still talk about a genre of music that people want to sadly forget about.
Yeah.
There's not many people who cover Rat's latest album, or
yeah.
Steve Stevens' review of a solo album. So it's a lot of love for Stevie and Eddie. And
I stumped the Trump last year, by the way.
Well, that's no easy task.
I stumped the Trump with what 80s actor tried out for Helix.
Oh, wow.
And Jim Florentine backed me up, and he thought I was
wow, that's tough.
From Canada, obviously.
Wow, that's tough.
Michael J. Fox.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
True story.
That's the 80s. Though.
Yeah. It's just incredible. I mean, it's just, you just open those magazines and things popped at you, and just like, it was incredible. I mean, I just remember coming here and just seeing all the flyers and just what was that Mark Anthony graphics? He would do everybody's
Oh, wow,
fires, and it
right.
would just like blow my mind. And Tough were just like, whoa. And then Pretty Boy Floyd were out then, and it was just like, oh my God.
It was just like an ant farm of horny people in in a probably 6 blocks radius from Doheny to maybe the Comedy Store.
Yes.
And it was just the girls, one prettier than the next. The guys, most of them looked prettier than the girls. And, this was before the internet. So if you wanted to promote your band, you had to hit the street.
I got a great one. I forgot that you're comedians. So my first time here, Kenny came out here on vacation, the singer of Blackboard Jungle in '88, Easter vacation. We came out and we went to the Roxy and just to go see heavy metal bands. Luckily, Salty Dog and Junkyard were playing. We didn't know who they were. They were amazing. This guy sitting behind us, and we're 18, and I think he thought we were nice, and he had videos, and I talked to him about his videos. Well, he liked us, and he said, you guys should come and hang out with me down at the Comedy Store. In hindsight, it was my friend Greg Workel, who was Sam Kinnison's drug dealer and best friend. So the next night, he calls us. He goes, there's a picture of it on Metal Sludge of me at 18 and Kenny with Brett Michaels and Cece. He goes, come to the Comedy Store. We go see Sam Kinison. After the show, we meet Sam because Kenny had seen it on HBO. And we go to this room in the Comedy Store, and I've never seen a star before. Every star is there.
Right, yeah.
It's Slash. James Hetfield started barking at me, scaring at me, and this guy pulls me aside. It's Brett Michaels that you'll see in a picture. He goes, don't ignore him, little brother. He's just an asshole, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was there, and there's actually a picture from it on Metal Sledge somewhere. And Greg ended up financing the whole Blackboard Jungle thing and really was our big part of Blackboard Jungle.
Well, I would guess that was probably from the sounds of it the main room, green room, which had a mirrored piano table.
Yeah.
Let's just say people would enjoy powdered refreshment.
And I didn't even know what anything was. I didn't even drink or do anything. Then it was '88. I was just like, whoa, CeCe DeVille, Brett Michaels. Oh my God, Slash is passed out. Oh, Billy Idol.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. Is like the glam movement kind of was in sync with the comedy boom.
Yes.
So you could literally go see, Guns N' Roses at the Troubadour, or Rat. I guess at that time was in arenas, but Warrant, and then go to the Comedy Store and see Sam Kinison, Dice
Exactly.
Clay, and many others. So it was quite. I don't think we'll ever have another time where you'll have two movements in the entertainment business popping at the same time.
Yeah, and you could never have anything bubble under like that because everything's on the internet now, so nothing would boil. It's just there now, so nothing's going to boil like that. You're not going to hear about bands,
Yeah.
and then.
Well, it's like when when Rocky played the Guns N' Roses, I'm like, who are these guys? And you couldn't go. Now you could, people who are listening to this can Google Blackboard Jungle and go, oh wow, here's a video on YouTube. I can go on iTunes, get their albums.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, you had to get Metal Edge or Rip, and a month later read about them.
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, it was just high octane, and you didn't know even when you didn't enjoy it when you were in it. It's looking back on it, you know what I mean? You
Sure.
go, wow. I mean, when you were in it, it was just so overwhelming, fighting for your place and thinking that you needed a record deal. I mean, we definitely got real close to having big record deals at times, small record deals, and it just didn't happen. But you know what? Everybody goes, oh, well, you almost did, but I'd rather do what we did than have had a record not come out, because that was also 80% of the bands. People forget the record that didn't come out.
Yeah, I mean, I know the band Wild Side, they had a pretty big record come out in 91. They did a second record that never, Atlantic, just no.
And they did some of that. It's funny that they were in that circle of bands with us where someone offered us this song, Crash Diet, that I guess Wes Arkeen had wrote, and said, you can have a record deal if you'll. And I was, no, I write songs. Why do I want to cover a song? But I think they ended up doing it, actually.
Right. And then I know, this is, of course, 10 years later, John Kolodner started Portrait Records, and he had Rat and Cinderella. And
when they did all those reissues, right?
Yeah,
they were good.
They did reissues, but they also did, like, Rat did an original
not reissue,
record.
but it was like a big movement. I was
Right.
working in a record store early 99, 2000 when all that, yeah.
And then Cinderella did a fully recorded album, and I guess he didn't like it, and so it's never been released. And it's like as a fan, I would love to hear all those unreleased records. And
I saw a rat with Carlos Cavazos maybe a year and a half ago in Petaluma. Dude, my mind was just blown. I mean, as a kid, I'm sitting in the back of Meadowlands Arena looking at Warren DeMartini. Warren DeMartini is in front of me and better than ever.
Looks the same.
Dude, just killing it. I realized they're better. They're one of those bands they didn't have the blots. They had Jimmy DeGrasso on drums, which I think added a lot.
Well, I mean, now you have 3 Rats touring, which is crazy to me. Like, Steven has his, he calls it the Rat Bastards.
Yeah.
Bobby Blotzer has his Rat Experience. Now Juan, the bass player, has his version.
Yeah.
So there's most people don't want one version of Rat in 2015. And they're my favorite band.
Yeah,
but it's just like, you wish these guys, could just get along, man. Yeah.
I mean, we're able with Blackboard Jungle to keep the same dudes when we do the thing, but you just got to kind of know how to do it. You got to know what call. You know what a big thing is with Blackboard Jungle, and they'll listen to this, and they'll probably die that I say is like, who shouldn't talk to who? You know what I mean? Who should not make what call about what? Like, I can almost be Switzerland that people will call me, and it all works out that they go through me to talk.
Now, are you and Kenny the Gene and Paul of the band, or is it all 4 guys have equal? I mean, how does that work in a band?
I think it's all 4. When we were kids, I mean, the guitar player was incredible, Dave. I mean, I didn't realize Kicks, Love, Hate. Everybody was trying to get him to join. He had played with Andy McCoy before us, and so he's guitar star. I mean, that was the template. You needed a guitar star. The front man, the songs, the killer drummer. And Joel was a really good drummer that played for the song, so we had a good template, and everybody was down to work and move forward. You know what I mean? It was good, but everybody did their part. But you could get stupid, and you just had to stop from getting stupid.
I mean, in terms of your image, I mean, certainly the late '80s were different than the mid '80s, because mid '80s you had bands like the Vinnie Vincent Invasion looking like drag queens, and was there that was a weird time frame in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Did you guys make a conscious decision to not toughen up the image, but is that where arguments started? Like, hey, we should be glammier, we should be...
No. The image, our image, I mean, you always... it was funny, I was talking to my friend the other day, and he asked, what'd you think about Big Bang Babies the first time you saw them? And I remember going to the Roxy, and they had ramps and lights, and they looked perfect. I mean, I wanted to look that perfect. I wanted to have a wall of Marshalls. We just didn't. And in hindsight, people will say, you were cooler because you played English Acid, you played the Teaser. We only played those places because Dave slept on the couch with the girl from LA Rock Review, and she got us in those places, and Kim got us in places. It wasn't really that thought out. I think one cool thing about Blackboard Jungle that I think Alice in Chains had and Guns had, it's almost the misfit thing worked by the end.
Right.
Like, I think Guns were like, Axl was like, I'm trying to be glam, but I'm a biker. And I'm
Right.
kind of Skinnered, I'm kind of Hanoi Rocks, and that's what we loved about them. And that was Alice in Chains. They're originally sleaze, and then they probably Soundgarden, and that mixture of it all was what was cool. But you wanted to be. I mean, if I could have looked as cool as Sebastian Bach, I would have wanted to. You know what I mean?
Me both. I mean, that's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, you're just like, I met him in New Jersey. Jamie was friends with some of the guys before they ever hit it, and it was like when they opened this door at this place at Staten Island, and we met him. It was like, I was telling someone, it was like a genetically correct frontman. Like the gods had just come down and just made it.
Just like a good-looking guy, an amazing voice.
Yeah, just
the hair.
Yeah, it was fierce. You know what I mean? So I think we just, I remember, no matter what, you're in a glam band, you date some girl. I never dated a girl that thought my band was cool. She was like, oh, I like the guy in Gene Loves Jezebel. So I'm going to put some shit in my hair and look like the guy from Gene Loves Jezebel. I'm gonna, so you'd kind of mix those things with what what you grew up on, and just, Love and Rockets are exotic and cool. I mean, because I had to learn Jane's Addiction, Love and Rockets, Hanoi Rocks. Dude, I grew up on Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, just nothing too exotic. I remember seeing the name Iggy Pop in magazines going, what's that? You know what I mean? It's like, so those crept in when I moved out here, because you go, what did Guns N' Roses like? You read, you do your homework. What did Motley Crue like? Sweet. You follow the food chain.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think too many metal guys, grew up with Springsteen influences.
Yeah.
Which is, it's usually like Guns N' Roses, like Hanoi Rocks, and I think Motley, Alice Cooper, and like early Kiss, and
yeah.
So, and Blackboard Jungle wasn't just a glam band. You guys had like to me, you guys were like a jack of all trades.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You could play anything.
Right. There was a lot. There was cool influences. I definitely. One thing, I mean, Springsteen, and I don't want to be like the glam rocker that thinks he's smarter than he is. And I really wanted to be. I love glam, but I love two songwriters. I love Nicky Sixx because he played bass,
right,
and wrote the lyrics, and he wasn't the singer, so that template kind of worked for me. And Springsteen, who in my high school years, I started to really like enjoy. Maybe I started liking Tunnel of Love because my heart finally started getting stamped by women. It was the beginning, and I could sort myself out through his songs. But he said, I want to play songs I can play when I'm 50. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in my 20s. And he can. And I remember walking into British Imports on Hollywood Boulevard. And I mean, Nicky Sixx is my hero. I mean, he's on the Blackboard Jungle Current shirt that we did for this. But it said, and I thought Nicky Sixx, Jim Morrison, same thing, which I still have. Nicky Sixx is one of my heroes, but he had wrote Eat Pussy, Nicky Sixx, 87. It was almost like a letdown, like, this is my guru. You know what I mean? I know he's into that, but like that's all he's got to say, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like, I was talking about this with a friend the other day. It's like, I love Kiss, but when I hear Gene sing Christine 16 and he's like 60, talking about basically staying outside of a grade school or whatever,
yeah,
it's like that's kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, it almost makes it better though. But
well,
given the current side, that wouldn't help this court case if that went any further.
Yeah, or Winger, who aren't quite as old as Kiss, singing "She's Only 17."
Yeah.
Or Motley singing. A lot of their songs.
Yeah,
fucking.
You're right.
It is kind of like. I like Tunnel of Love. I love that song.
Yeah,
I love the whole album.
Yeah.
Springsteen seemed to always successfully change, genres when he needed to. Like Kiss, sometimes to me it didn't work. They would go Bon Jovi, and then they'd come out with a grunge album. Carnival of Souls, which is a good Stone Temple Pilots album. But Springsteen always seemed to do it like. Didn't seem as selling out as like when Kiss would do it.
Right. You know what's funny with Springsteen though, and he'll never know who I am, so I can say this.
I don't know about that.
Maybe you will. So I follow his lyrics, and Human Touch and Lucky Town were really the last two records that he wrote about himself. I felt we knew about him and his. He was happy then.
Right.
There was one other song, "Girl, I'm in Love with the Girl in the Supermarket," and you could tell he's checking out at a supermarket. I know which one it was in New Jersey, and he likes the hot Spanish girl at the supermarket. You know what I mean?
It's Springsteen.
I mean, it's right there. But he doesn't really write about himself that much, and it bums me out. I don't mind the sociological, when he does it, it's great, but I wish I knew a little bit more about where he is in life right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be, 60 now?
He's 60. His birthday's in September. He's, I think, going to be 66.
And still puts out amazing
concerts. Shape, amazing. But it'd be interesting to see where he's at mentally. He stopped doing that to me.
Well, I mean, of course, born in the USA, it was like almost Springsteen. Not selling out, but it was kind of a poppy... keyboard. Like
I loved it, yeah. And when you look back, I mean, it's a huge. I mean, the story of Dancing in the Dark was amazing. We actually almost got signed by one of the producers, that Chuck Plotkin in Blackboard Jungle, but his record company wanted him to stop produce Springsteen to sign bands, and he obviously said no to that. But he had 79 songs recorded for Born in the USA.
That's crazy.
And he goes, and Chuck said, "You need one more." And he's like, "You got to be kidding me." And he's like, he went home and he wrote this song. He started writing. He said, "I get up in the morning and I ain't got nothing. I come home in the evening." He's like, "No, I get up in the evening. I come home in the morning." And that was the start of Dancing in the Dark. And that was the last song for that album. And obviously it propelled it. And
just that Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
And I mean, his box set that I bought, it's 4 discs, and it's like it's the only box set where, wow, these could all be singles on your album.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing. I mean, Like, Kiss's box set kind of left me a little limp.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, all right, it's all right. They had a couple like old Desmond Child demo songs that were
Right.
it's cool to hear. But
Yeah.
I don't know if this could be a number one single. Springsteen's was just like every song is good.
No, it's mind blowing. I mean, he obviously was diseased by it. At some point, he said he couldn't put down the guitar. I mean, he just couldn't stop.
I mean, with Blackboard Jungle, you had a couple lineup changes. Guys, because we came out here from Jersey. Certain guys came, some didn't. Was that hard to like not like have a consistent what would you say the classic Blackboard Jungle lineup?
Well, once we got going and we're named Blackboard Jungle, we had guys from back home play with us. We didn't have the name that we were originally had been called Filthy Ritz,
right?
But when with Blackboard Jungle, Kim Fowley named us. That was pretty much the same lineup. Me, Kenny Price, Dave Zink, who was from the Bay Area, who had moved down here, and Joel Patterson, who played with us. That was pretty much what I'd call Blackboard Jungle. Eventually, years later, Joel left, and we got Brett Bradshaw from Faster Pussycat and one other drummer. And that was just, I call it the metal years. We all have our confused years.
Right.
I mean, in hindsight, I love that Motley Crue record with Karabi. It's like one of the best records.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time, I was horrified. You know what I mean? But we all did. And I think our music from that time's cool, but we all had our confusion period.
Yeah, I mean, that Karabi record gets shit on a lot.
It's amazing. I mean,
it just timing was at 94, and bands of that's right when the boy bands were kind of grunge was almost ending. The boy bands were kind of blowing up, which I didn't mind the boy bands.
No.
I thought they were very almost glam.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
kind of like younger versions of Bon Jovi and
right.
But just the worst time in the world for a metal band.
We were recording. We had free time at A&M, and we were recording down the hall from Crew when they were doing that record. So it was mind blowing to just see them. Just Tommy Lee. Nikki Sixx wasn't there at all, but we'd see Tommy Lee. It was like 1 week, and he'd stop in our room because this guy Bill Kennedy was producing us that had engineered some stuff for us. It was just mind blowing to meet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think, and especially with Motley Crue. The singer wasn't Vince Neil. I don't think people cared.
No.
Which kind of sucks because Karabi is one of the most talented.
Crushing, right? Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize. I mean, you listen to Hammered, all that, you're like, whoa, it's just fucking amazing.
And when he was in Rat, is like basically what Cavazo is now, the rhythm guitar is like, wow, that had to be rough because his voice is pretty good, and you're like,
yeah.
Maybe you and Piercy should switch out.
He was in a band when I first moved out here that blew my mind, Angora.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was just crushing. I mean, he's always been crushing.
It's so talented, and just that's like the intimidating thing about just the entertainment business is when you see someone like him. I don't want to say he hasn't made it, but like it's like, wow, you should be a star. Like,
yeah.
And you see like Miley Cyrus,
yeah,
bazillions of dollars, and it's like, damn. Man.
Right. No, it's crazy. I get there's so many obviously factors and stuff, but then you know.
What are the factors? Like for Blackboard Jungle, it's like you guys were as good as any band around, and like I'm not trying to bring up bad.
Oh no, you could totally.
Like as a fan, it always. Like you mentioned, Axl Rose, let's just say, borrowed some of Richard Black's stage moves. And, how does, like, Axl Rose become the most iconic singer, or one of them, of our generation, and Richard Black is probably working a real job?
Yeah, it is amazing. Let's just take Blackboard Jungle out of the factor. Like, why something wouldn't take, like, a Rattlesnake Shake, you remember them with Jimmy Thrill, or The Wild, who... Dizzy Reed was in, and or Shark Island, and just say we're gonna give them a few bucks. Let's just put a record out, throw it against, see what happens, because it will. And they'll give like, and I use this band as an example, and I'm sure they're great, but Kick Tracy, just like or Animal Bag. I don't know that those bands are good or bad. I don't really know that, and they probably are amazing. But like Slick Toxic, we toured with. Like, why do these? It just you wouldn't. It didn't make sense. But I think like Kim had every A&R guy in town down at our first sound check when we were still, as I'd say, in our diapers. So they had kind of, passed then, but just things come up, and it took a lot of people to sign off on a band. Nobody wants to risk their job at that time. I remember this guy. I'll just say this, I don't care. Jeff Fenster. He went to hang out with girls. He was from Geffen at the Geffen building, and he would hang out at all those shows. We all thought we were getting signed, but he just liked the girls. In hindsight, they'd come to the parties, and everybody that had a car just wanted to hang, but no one would risk their job if they didn't have to.
But I mean, back then, I mean, it was still, I would say, the gold rush of. Let's sign the next big metal band, and weren't a lot of bands. Did it bother you guys that some bands were getting deals, and you guys were still not struggling, but still fighting to get that one fat deal?
Well, even when I moved out here, I remember being in an apartment over on Clark with some of the guys from Love, Hate, and Johnny Crash, and they were talking about their deals they were getting. I'm like, do people really get record deals? I mean, you're sitting here and you have a record coming out that's going to spin and shit.
Right.
It was just so unfathomable to me that you almost don't. It's almost like the girl you think you'll never get. You might get her, and that would be mind blowing. But you're just like deep inside, like, dude, we're never gonna have a record.
But I mean, I would think it would be more frustrating for you guys because you guys had Kim Fowley in your corner, who's like beyond legendary. And was it like, what do we got to do to make it? Like, we got this guy in our corner. He loves us. And, this band that opened for us just got a deal.
Yeah. And what was weird was then I remember Interscope not coming, saying we couldn't get into the show. It was too packed, so we didn't go to the show. Like, you wouldn't sign that band? And with Kim Fowley, we got offered a deal with Interscope, and he turned it down because they didn't have distribution. That was But I think a lot of the problem was one thing that would always happen is I remember going to Karen Dumont at Atco Records, and she's saying, you need to be more like Roxy Blue. And then we go to another thing, and they'd be like, you need to be more like Bang Tango or Jane's Addiction. Like, it was just a strange thing. It just, I don't know. But, I mean, look at Tough. That's like, it's hard to talk about myself, but like Tough, I mean, the template was done. The work was done for anybody. They just had to here you go. That was more what bothered me. Like something like Tough. Like, you're gonna give Slick Toxic a deal, but not Tough. It's done. The world knows about Tough. Why wouldn't someone just get behind him, pump a single, and just do it? It's done.
Yeah, I mean, I've told Stevie this before, so it's meant with nothing but love. But I always looked at Tough as like diet poison. Like,
right, and he's, I'm sure, aware of that. Yeah,
but Cinderella's one of my favorite bands. The drummer Fred has been on this show. Another one of my favorite bands was Brittany Fox, which
Long Way to Love is one of the best songs ever written, man.
Diet Cinderella, though.
Yeah, Creed to Pearl Jam. I mean, it's fine.
So but the singer from Brittany Fox, this is what I love about you. You embrace the era.
Right.
Like, you're not like, hey, yeah, I was there. He changed his name, cut his hair. Like, he's so embarrassed by Brittany Fox, he won't talk about it.
I call it PMD, post-metal denial.
But why, though? Now maybe it's because I'm just a fan and I don't have to suffer any repercussions of being a fan. You guys do. I mean, have you ever walked into an audition or maybe you were up for a music gig and it's like, oh, you were in Blackboard Jungle. You're the guy from that.
Oh, I've got tons of. I mean, and I realize that like you say, you being a cool comedian, you're more down with me going like, I'm into it. Someone once said Nikki Sixx. What do you think of Nikki Sixx? Like, I moved to California because of him, and people will shut up then. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm in, and I love Springsteen, and it's just a mix of it. You can like it all. There's nothing as exciting as it, and I'm not ironic about it. Like you, like we really like it. People get non-committal. Those that like,
Right.
And though I love Springsteen and Tom Petty, I always feel like I see a lot of rockers exit via Tom Petty or industrial music pull out. That wasn't really what I was saying. It was totally what you were into, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was totally what you were. I was cooler than you back then. I'm cooler than you now. Stop.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of...
Your band was corny. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on.
Like, I see Bret Michaels doing country songs, and it's like, come on, man. I mean, you might like country, Bret Michaels, but, I don't want to hear you play the banjo. I want.
Yeah. I guess it's just...
I want those pink guitars, CeCe playing overextended solos and just, you know.
And I love this one. Management made us wear that. You know what I mean? People always have like back management. That's not really what I was about. I mean, dude, I love White Lion. I love White Lion, and I realize on most White Lion albums they close with a very social conscious song when the children cries. Very, but I mean, I think the same stuff Mike Tramp likes, but when I watch him doing a Cobblestone Road, I'm like, what are you, dude? Come on, you got to have a thread of who you are, and just deny, oh, this is really what I'm about. Me, this guitar, and this, you know.
Yeah.
Remember Ron Keel when he did that thing in the back of the pickup?
Ronnie Lee Keel.
I got this dog. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, I don't like telling any artist, say, you should do this because I want to hear it, but, you know, that's why I've always liked CeCe DeVille. Like, it's just like he doesn't run from it. He still has the bleach blonde hair. You know, still plays the pink guitars. You know, he embraces it.
Well, I was saying to someone, that's why I think Poison was so good. When you listen to the guitar, everybody else had that crunchy, like CeCe was just amazing. The riffs and stuff were like sounding like Kiss, nothing but a good time. He just killed it. He's, I think, a big part of what set Poison apart.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a guy, and I always have this, not argument, but talk about this with friends who like the music, like he's an amazing guitar player.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, doesn't
I mean, amazing. Is he Steve Vai? No.
No,
but he's an accomplished musician. He kills it.
Yeah, like, it always bums me out when, like him, Steve Stevens is another guy who you look at and go, gee, he looks like a Jersey Shore housewife. But you listen to him play, it's like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
He put out a flamenco album that is
A-level. Yeah, I just saw him at the Fox Theater in Oakland a few months ago. Yeah, A-level.
But, you know, it always bothered, you know, Rod Morgenstein, the drummer from Winger, it's like he gets a lot of shit because, you know, how they looked in the videos. But, like, he's like this amazing fusion drummer. And, like, you know, did it bum you guys out that, you know, now you guys weren't as glammy as those guys I just mentioned, but that you didn't get credit for your skills because of the image a lot of you guys had?
Nah, dude, I don't think we. You know, we were lucky. One cool thing is everybody always liked our songs and sang them. So the guys in Faster Pussycat liked this. More than I think we were sold on that. That was like really cool,
right?
Yeah, I mean, and we. Yeah, I think the only bummer with us is like more than the not being signed thing is we were never part of like even the Cat House thing. No one would ever call us. We were like weird in between. We were never part of those certain things that just, you know, seemed cool to be in. We just didn't get the cool guy card. So we kind of had to build our own world, which was cool. You know what I mean? So we kind of built our own thing.
I mean, I always thought you guys were not sounding-wise, but almost in that same boat as like Tesla, where it was like, okay, they're not really glam, but they're not really this.
Yeah.
What do we do with them?
Yeah. And that might have been what happened. And it wasn't thought out. I mean, dude, I wanted to look like Nikki Sixx or Francois from Motorcycle Ball. We wanted it. You know, we wanted to be just cool and just. You know, we loved bands like Vane. You know what I mean? Just like, what's that? You know what I mean? Those bands that were in between, too. And like, yeah. I mean, you just take your sum of influences and you just try to be it. You put a little twist on it, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was just, it was, I would always just cut my hair like a bob and wear these crazy glasses and people responded, so you keep doing it. But it was the glam thing. I love glam. You know what I mean? It was funny because Alley Cat Scratch, you know who they are?
Yeah.
They're on the record label we're on, and a lot of times I'll say, I think when a kid overseas wants to reach back into the 80s for a glam band, they're a good reach, and that's why they're very popular, because they define it all perfectly. There's no piece missing. Like you say, Pretty Boy Floyd, Alley Cat Scratch. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's Tough Poison. And that's cool, I think. We just didn't have it that dialed in. We tried.
Right.
But like I said, it's a lot of those bands. Like I think Guns, coming short of what you want to be, you know what I mean, sometimes is cool.
Well, but I think a lot of people forget, you know, when Tracy Guns was in Guns and basically what ended up Guns N' Roses. I mean, he's the Guns.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. Like, they were pretty glam when they were playing, like, Madame Wong's.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
If you look at early pictures of that version of what became Guns N' Roses. They were as glam as Poison, to a little lesser degree, but so. And then they was it? Do you think in their case it was someone like Vicky Hamilton, Deborah Perry saying, "Hey, you guys, this music's about to be a little out of stink. Toughen it up a bit."
I don't think so. I think Axl was just who got in the. I heard specifically like one day, my friend Rick was in Rose, and he just said Izzy came home one day with the Kerrang with Hanoi Rocks and was like, "We're redoing it all."
Right.
I think Hanoi Rocks changed them into a more rock and roll band. I think.
Right.
I mean, Hanoi Rocks literally has the line written, "Welcome to the jungle." You know what I mean?
Oh wow! I didn't know
Welcome to the jungle, welcome to the sea, welcome to the deep inside of me. It's one of their songs, Mystery Cities, Paradise City. I mean, and they just made it better. You know what I mean? They took that, like, Little Shark Island, a little Hanoi Rocks, and they played amazing. A little bit of Axl shit kicking, what is it, Lynyrd Skynyrd-ness.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
There's a 10cc song that he loved. I found an Axl biography, Something of Love, that old band, and you can hear his template of like half his songs, especially on the Use Your Illusions on that.
Well, that's when I kind of checked out Use Your Illusion, and that's when they were at their ultimate. I wish they would have just had one album. How good would it as a musician?
Oh, I know.
If you cut out some, not that they were bad songs, but if you cut out some of the lesser songs and just made one album.
But I feel like it was their story. I feel like it was like when I know this chick, she lives down on Melrose, and you knew the girl that lived down on Melrose. Right. And like Izzy writing songs about the band becoming a joke, Axl singing them and not know he was singing them. I mean,
right.
I mean, did you need My World up? But it just was what it was. And it was incredible, man.
Oh, they were. I mean, I saw that concert at the Forum, and I've never been a huge fan of theirs, but it's. Other than a Springsteen concert, it's probably the best concert I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was
just come on.
2.5 hours. I think Skid Row might have been the opener, and it was wow, these guys are. But you could already see kind of little chinks in the armor, like they didn't really seem to go near each other on stage. Yeah. It was like
One of my favorite things, a buddy of mine, like we love to actually the drummer of my current band, we love to YouTube. Is there was a point in Axl's career. And Use Your Illusion, where he realized he had interpreters, and he loved calling for interpreters to scold the crowd and teach them. It's an amazing. Just YouTube Axl Rose interpreter, and watch the interpreter's face when he yells this stuff that he or she has to say to the crowd. It's amazing.
Well, that's I was at some concert recently where they had a sign interpreter person at the stage, and it wasn't Rat, but it was a band who had some raunchy songs, so it was just interesting to see. Like,
exactly.
When they were talking about the sexual parts of the song, they had to do these weird. Now, what band are you in now?
My band is called El Granada. I was in a band called MK4 for a while, but we're recording with Doug Grion, who was you might know, he played guitar for Scott Weiland for years, and he left, and he's recording us now.
And what do you guys mainly? Because I know you're based in Northern California.
Yeah.
Is it hard to? I mean, what's the music scene there like?
Dude, I don't even think about it now. I mean, I'm trying to make the greatest album I can make, and Doug's just going crazy and adding things, and Paul Roybal is the drummer, and he sings sometimes, and I sing sometimes, and we're just trying to make the greatest album we can make. I mean, I love music more than ever.
That's awesome, and
and it's funny, we talk about comedy. A lot of my friends make fun of me because I think comedians are the new philosophers. Paul and I go out and see comedy, and you're just like, wow, you see Mark Maron, and you're just blown away with it makes me feel the way that Guns made me feel.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. Bill Burr is another one who's keeps it real.
Yeah,
he's a huge hockey guy, and there's a lot of podcasting now is if it wasn't for podcasting, Mark Maron, he kind of had a downtime in his career. And,
he was with Greg and Kinnison. He was his boy. Yeah.
So he was a doorman at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
So
he's got the president on his podcast.
Yeah. Well, what I love about that is his manager from like 7-8 years ago said, "Don't do the podcast. You'll never make any money on it." That's amazing. And now he's, I think he's doing okay.
I have a funny. So I love the Bill Burr podcast, and my nephew's really cool. He was in 8th grade. And I got him listening to it. He loved Bill Burr, and he's a good kid. And my brother's a madman. He's an Italian, like he's crazy. And and they were having an argument, and his kid, who's normally well behaved, said, "Why don't you suck my dick?" My brother was, I mean, the kid could get murdered. My brother's trying to and my brother, I go, dude, it's because I got him the Bill Burr. But he was so listening with Bill Burr that the Bill Burr had gotten on his head. And it's weird that I hear that a lot of these comedians like Bill Burr, they hit up to 18, then 40 and up. So essentially they miss the target demographic audience at times. But
for sure.
Kids get it, adults get it. It's, the 20s sometimes don't get the whole horror of everything at times.
Well, I mean, podcasts are, basically the new talk show. Because and there's some great late night talk show hosts, but it's kind of cookie cutter questions and just people promoting whatever movie they're on, and it's such a great format to have someone like you on, and not that I wanted you to talk shit, but you're keeping it real.
Oh yeah. I'll talk shit, whatever you want to know, and like I would watch Breaking Bad, and they did a podcast after every episode, and I'd learn so much, would lead me on to other shows, and like Chuck Klosterman just last night, I was like, what podcast has he been on lately? And I downloaded a few from my ride home. Craig Finn, there's a band I love, The Hold Steady, where they actually sing sometimes about, they have lines about Guns N' Roses in their alternative rock band. But anyway, he's on a lot of podcasts, and I just love listening. You get in somebody's head.
Well, it's great, and I've tried to get probably the number one compliment I get on mine is, how did you get that guy? How did you get Stephen Piercy and Tawny Katane? I love getting these avant-garde guests. It's tough because they're like, who the fuck are you?
Oh, you had Tawny Katane.
She was awesome.
Dean had me, Dean Del Rey.
Who doesn't?
Dean had me call up because he was I was friends with him in I'm still friends with him, but in Northern California. And I said, you're having Tawny Katane on. Do you remember in the Here I Go Again video, her boob flops out?
Yeah.
For a while on MTV. And he's like, call up. And I was working at a school, and I had to take a break from my job, and I called in at his show, and it's me calling in on Dean's show, asking her about that, and she was a great sport.
She was awesome. The only thing she wouldn't talk about was OJ, which I understood. I'm sure.
Brent told me when she was on, they toured with Pussycat on the Whitesnake tour. Oh. And she had like a director's chair, Miss Katane, and she'd come out, "Hi, I'm Miss Katane, and welcome to the tour." Oh, I said it was just nuts.
No, she was awesome. Bobby Brown was another girl. I said, well, if I can get Tawny, I'll get Bobby, and and Fred Corey from Cinderella. It's great to get guys who were there and girls who were there, and it's not as easy as you'd think getting some of these people on this couch. Right. But Dean was a mentor to me. We co-hosted a podcast for a bit. So.
Oh, wow.
And I got too lazy to drive up to his house in the hills. So I'm like, I think I'll just start my own.
Oh, ropes!
Yeah. I mean, to drive to Dean's house in L.A. traffic took me 45 minutes to an hour. And he only lives,
Beechwood? Does he still live in Beechwood? Wow.
So I was just like, fuck, I think I'll just buy my own gear.
It's funny. I've met a lot of rock stars, obviously. Sebastian Bach is the real deal. Tommy Lee, real deal. Dean is probably the biggest rock star I've ever met. I mean, he is just so larger than life, and after you meet him, you can hit life from a different angle.
Well, he's like a character from Swingers.
He really is.
Where it's like, and I mean that as a compliment. No. I mean, he's gone farther in 4 years of comedy than most people have in 20, because he's just persistent, and he's just eye on the prize, and he's great to watch work a room.
Oh, yeah.
He could walk into a room of 100 people and go, who can help me? And he'll find that one person. And it takes me all night to figure out.
Do you know that Dean originally owned the name Warrant and sold it to them?
I could believe it.
He did. No, it's a true story. I forget they bought it from him for a good sum of money. He owned the name Warrant.
I mean, and then Joey Allen has been on this couch.
Oh, wow.
Who was, an awesome guest. So it's neat to, get some of these people on and just hear the stories from the glory days.
Oh, yeah.
And because, like I said, I was around the scene, but you were in it.
Yeah, we were. It's one of the few things in my life I go, I did it. You did. From head to toe, you can ask me anything. When people say, act like they know something, I go, you know what? Well, if you know it like I know glam rock, then you know it. But I know glam rock inside out.
No, I've got. You're the only guest I've had people tweeting questions to ask me.
Okay.
So I heard through the rumors that you have played some shows naked.
Well, many.
But I mean, like, how does that work? Give me one. That's crazy.
Well, it originally started. We were playing Lubbock, Texas, with Faster Pussycat, and we had read all our books about. Oh, at the end of a tour, you're supposed to do something fun and crazy and nutty. So I went out there, and I think I just did a naked handstand, just got nude, and Dave zinked it, and everybody went crazy. But then we got banned from Lubbock, Texas, Blackboard Jungle, for doing that. And I was like, this is amazing. So then we would play You Spin Me Round, and one time I just wasted. I don't even drink anymore, but I took off all my clothes, and the place just went berserk. So it just became legend that's what I would do at the end of a show.
And did that help with the girls backstage after?
No. In fact, it's weird. It's really cool when you're doing it, but when it ends, like I would still do it. I just haven't done it the past few years. Maybe I'll do it this year. And the curtain closes, and you're fucking naked. It's like that nightmare you have as a kid that you're running around fucking naked. You're like, this is weird.
Now, didn't another listener tweeted there was a band photo where you guys all did the Buffalo Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Which is my favorite movie scene of all time.
So we tucked our dicks between our legs at the old HR Puffin stuff where they filmed it, which is even worse.
Who do you call when things get rough?
Yeah, exactly. So Joel, the drummer, didn't want to do it. He was like against it, right? So we said, no, dude, just do one test shot. And so he did that test shot, and I think within 12 hours there were shirts and flyers up and down the strip. He's just horrified. I mean, it was amazing. It's still just there's, and the thing was, because the one thing about Blackboard Jungle, it was Kenny came up with the idea. Kenny was genius with his ideas. I mean, we pride ourselves in not being dicks. Our guitar player Dave could be a dick sometimes, but people were dicks.
Yes.
That was one of our goals. Like, dude, let's just not be a dick. Like, as we get big, let's just I remember at Faster Pussycat shows, kids not being able to get in, and me putting them in my bass because they're under 21, putting them in my SVT case and putting them in, getting them in the show. Like, you can ask a lot of people. We were not. I don't think we were dicks. So we said we should do "There's no dicks in this band," and that was the theme of the picture.
And that's the slogan.
Yeah, there's no dicks in this band.
And did you get some money from these shirts, or were these bootleggers?
No, we made the shirts and sold them.
Oh, I'm telling you, that would be a huge. Now, do you guys have a website up?
It's
where?
Just a Facebook. We have a cool. This year's shirt was. I just put Nikki Sixx on it because that's why we moved here. He'll probably sue us, but I love Nikki Sixx so much that I just put his face on it. And I was like, I searched on the internet one day. I wanted just a Nikki Sixx shirt, just his face, and there was none. So I was like, well, that's the next Blackboard Jungle shirt. And
can people buy this?
Yeah, it's on there.
So
yeah.
what's the Facebook? Just Blackboard Jungle?
Yeah, I mean they can ban. Yeah, they can find it. Yeah.
And do you guys are you guys on Twitter? Do you guys?
No, but Demon Doll Records is where you can get all our CDs.
You better spell that for my fan base.
DEMONDOLLRECORDS. I don't know if it's .com, but just search Demon Doll Records, and they have a ton of great glam stuff. They put some tough stuff out that's just great.
And
stuff.
iTunes, because I know you guys have, you guys get the sales of, the profits from those sales on iTunes and all that.
Well, Demon Doll Records, I really feel that they're keeping this music alive.
Sure.
It's a labor of love, and if any bands want their records out that are from that era, Johnny does his best to get those records out. The problem is sometimes these bands act like they're in Led Zeppelin reforming just to put a little EP out. But I've never been treated so fairly. He splits it down the middle. I get my little check, which is I call it burrito money for what we're selling. You know what I mean? But
I've been there.
Yeah, but it's just like, wow, someone's listening to that, and that's all you care about. And he puts a lot of these bands out, and it ties into Stevie and Metal Slide. It's just a great thing.
Well, that's awesome because I want my fans to become fans of Blackboard Jungle, and it's only through venues like podcasts that we keep the name and era of the '80s alive.
I got a good Blackboard Jungle one. This is a good one. Go YouTube Blackboard Jungle bass throw. So we're playing Club Lingerie.
Oh my God.
And I was so nice. And this guy liked my girlfriend. And I was playing. And he shoved my mic into my face. And it hits me. And I said, no. I lean down. I kiss him on the cheek. He does it again. And I lean back and I launch the bass at him. And it's one of the legendary Blackboard Jungle YouTube clips.
Oh, that's awesome.
Blackboard Jungle bass throw.
Because you guys have a lot of YouTube. You guys have a nice presence.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube.
People put it up. It's fun. You know, I call us the Grateful Dead of glam rock because if anybody ever wants to come to our show and sell anything, I will get them in free and they can keep all their money. That's how we keep stuff out there.
Wow.
Anybody wants to make a Blackboard Jungle shirt, no royalty, just do what you want. I keep stuff out there.
Well, I know some Jewish comics who'll definitely be coming to Blackboard Jungle shows. Now, we've talked a lot about your club days, playing places like Club Lingerie, but I also know you guys were pretty big in Japan.
Yes.
What got you guys? I know you toured with Faster Pussycat in kind of their heyday.
Right.
Any good memories from those? I'm sure there are.
From Japan?
Yeah.
Well, this was the best. The way the Japan starts is we had a lot of fans there because originally Dave played longer. I played with Andy McCoy of Hanoi Rocks when we were like 18. And that got us a presence. They always wondered what we were doing. But by being nice, just, every band was big in Japan. Every Sunset, there was a fanzine Sunset Strip. We're big. We played the Whiskey that same night with Bad Blood that Gene Simmons was there.
Right.
And Bad Blood were going to go to Japan. And they went backstage, and they were all, there was some drug problems there, treating the promoter like kind of shitting on him and being cocky rock stars. And the guy came to us and said, I really liked your set. And we were super kind and nice and offered him a beer and everything. And then as we're leaving, he goes, hey, I'd rather take you to Japan than them. Would you be interested in going to Japan? I'm like, sure. Well, Kenny was roommates with Jeff, and the after party was at their house, their apartment on Cherokee. Bad Blood started having a party for them going to Japan, and we knew it was so scary.
Oh, wow.
Like cake and all that shit. We're like, ooh. And we said we wouldn't believe it till we landed, but we landed, and Brent Musket came up with a great analogy for a glam band from Japan at that era, and it was so true. He goes, when you go to the airport in Japan, you're mobbed with fans. When you come home to L.A., you can't get a ride home.
I've been there.
Yeah.
But why? I've always wondered, like, even in the 90s when certain bands from the 80s were kind of on the outs in America, they'd go to Japan and play arenas. Like, what is it about the Japanese fan base that they seem to embrace bands even if they're not hip anymore?
Yeah, I don't think it's like England with the metal bands. They don't abandon it, and I think that, dude, when you I DJ, not cool guy DJ, I DJ on ships like in San Francisco Bay, and when you listen to disco that everybody made fun of at the time, it's so perfectly recorded and so ear pleasing that it's so explosive and big now, and it sounds so right. That music was so meticulous and precise and chorus and non-boring, and it lifted and it dropped, that it's great music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they respond to that. You want to sing, you want to say the words. I mean, some of these new bands that sound cool and vibey, it doesn't really lift or do anything. It just kind of stays here. That was like really lifted, and that Springsteen thing, a community, and everybody's singing the words, and just like,
that's like when he does 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Oh.
And, when the big man joined the band and the whole crowd is just, it brings you to tears right away.
Oh, dude, I was wondering what is going to happen. I went to the show, and with Springsteen, I don't over Google it. I don't look at set lists online. I'm obsessed with them. And I knew that he'd play that, and the changes came real time. When the big man joined the band, I was like, what's he going to do? And when the arena just froze, and he froze, and all those movies of Clarence through the year, I mean, I get chills just thinking about it.
Oh, it makes you.
It's just like, he did it right, man. How's he going to do it right? And he did it.
I don't cry a lot.
Yeah, that was like, yeah.
And is it his nephew is the saxophonist?
Yeah, Jake Clemens.
Who's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about tough shoes to fill.
But dude, it's the best.
He does. As best he can.
How many horn players? There's a horn section, and it still doesn't fill up that. And I'm not just saying it, dude. I would say, dude, when I saw him a few times with Clarence, and when he just hits that first note and the crowd goes crazy, I mean, it's just.
Oh, probably my favorite Springsteen memory is '88. They're playing the Sports Arena, Tunnel of Love tour.
Yeah.
And during Thunder Road, Clarence starts the sax, and towards the end of the solo, Springsteen slides on his knees to Clarence, and they kiss on the lips.
Oh, yeah.
And like anyone else, you'd be like, Jesus, this is a little gay for me. And it was like, no one thought that.
Oh, yeah.
That's how good of friends they were.
And they said in the 70s, a black guy and a white guy doing that. It was huge. You know,
kissing on the lips. You're like, oh, like this is like, like when Paul sucks his finger in the Heaven's on Fire video. It's like, that's a little much.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just the memory I'll never forget. And,
oh, yeah.
It's kind of hard to see the East Street Band now because a couple of them aren't there anymore.
But it carries on, and a lot of it's the people there that are around you when you see it that are so into it. You wear your vintage Springsteen shirt. I just love the whole vibe.
Yeah, it's a very Grateful Dead almost experience. And although Dan Federici is no longer, they got the keyboard player from Pat Benatar.
You said that's right.
Who I love.
Yeah,
some Pat Benatar.
I have to tell you a funny Kiss story. But
please.
Okay, so when I went in Vegas, I went with some friends at Boston and my girlfriend to see Kiss at the Joint.
Right.
And the Boston people bought crazy good tickets. And they brought this friend. It was like a contractor, big guy, very like, this man, chicks. And he's scary. Like I felt like I had my glam rock clothes on around him. All of a sudden I felt like, whoa, he just like, and we're getting in the show and he's like uncomfortable, but he's going because everybody's going. He's like, can I talk to you, man? I'm like, what the fuck does he want me to talk to him about? I go outside, and my girlfriend's like, what? Okay. He goes, yeah, man, I just got to get something off my chest. He's like our age, 46. When I was a kid, I was watching this video, and I saw these hot asses walking, and I started to get hard. And he's like, I started to get hard and wood, and then it went up, and it was fucking Kiss. I was like, I'm fucking gay, and I started to cry.
Oh, shit, really?
And he's like, and for 2 weeks, I was like really bummed out. I told my karate instructor, and he said I wasn't gay. So just so you know, I'm not gay, but that happened. I'm like, all right. And then we go watch Kiss, and they play Lick It Up. Dude, it was really weird. That was a good one. That was a weird. I thought he was going to have to beat me up or something over, like, it was heavy stuff to him.
Now, speaking of gay, and as you can tell, Britt, I don't plan any questions.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I like it to be a free-flowing.
Let's do it.
You tell that story. You have a Judas Priest shirt on.
Oh, man.
And then, listen, this, as you know, I live on Larrabee in West Hollywood.
I lived here as well.
You don't get any gayer
than
this neighborhood. So, God love for the gays.
100%.
Rob Halford, I don't care what he does in his personal life. Maybe one of the greatest rock voices ever.
Oh, I'm going to go. I saw him last year. I'll see him again. Dude, he's almost embracing. He's going full costume changes now. He's
going full Al Pacino and cruising.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of gay rockers, on the scene that kind of had to keep it under the radar, I guess you'd say?
No, I don't think so. They would like this guy would make out with that guy, just the way girls that aren't lesbians make out, just to get the girls going. People did shit like that, but I didn't think so. I don't think so. There was like the Ultras or some like more. That was more scream and like the cooler scene than that. I don't think we were cool enough to have that. I don't think we were that arty.
Right. Because I know there's that one documentary. Metal fans jump on me when I get the facts wrong. It's Heavy Metal Parking Lot or
the
something.
Judas Priest one, yeah.
Yeah, and then, they show these two fans, and they said a pretty homophobic remark. Said, "We're not fags," and said, "Do you know your singer's gay?" And like it would have been a great kind of a punked or a hidden camera video to have them meet Rob Halford.
Oh yeah, how great would that be?
What did you say about fags? This is your favorite singer of all time. He's gay too.
Oh yeah. Oh.
But some of those videos definitely.
Oh, the Priest. When we were kids, Kenny and I, the singer, I was like 15, he was 16. His dad's a great Jersey guy, and we're sitting in his living room watching Priest at the US Festival, and his dad walks in and he goes, "This guy's a fucking fag. It's amazing. He's got you guys frothing." And he called the mom, and he's got the little boys frothing over him. And we're like, "Oh, yeah, Rob Halford's gay. He wears studs."
Yeah, I mean, it's
like, what are you talking about?
The same thing with like David Lee Roth. It's like, see, I don't think like David Lee Roth or, there's always been innuendos, whatever you want to call it, about Paul Stanley, and say, these guys have fucked so many girls.
Yeah, yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
That even if they do go to the other side, that's not gay. That's just boredom.
Boredom, exactly. And I don't think, after all the Paul rumors, you obviously read the book.
Well, there's so many Kiss books.
No, the last Paul one was amazing.
I did buy it. I just with Kiss, I don't know. The only problem I had with Paul's book was he seemed to kind of blame everyone but himself, and like it was Gene's fault. It was this guy's fault. Ace is this.
But I feel like his book, and I agree with you, was the truth. You could deduce it was the closest to the truth of all the books. That
I would agree with that.
That made sense. When you read all the other books and you come back, you go, this kind of makes sense.
And Peter's was just as bad. Everyone fucked up but me.
Yeah, but I felt like Paul's was the truth. And I went and saw him talk in San Francisco at like a Jewish center. It was amazing. Some of the greatest money I'd spent to like just watch him talk about the book. And it was really cool in a Q&A. It was really cool.
I mean, with at least the original 4 guys, it's so hard to figure out who to believe. Gene's probably, he's a carnival barker. He's a salesman.
Oh, yeah.
Paul seems to be the most eloquent.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that means he's the most truthful. And, Ace and Peter, I would love Vinnie Vincent to write a book if they could find him.
We should just do a documentary and you and I go find him.
Dude,
I mean, we should really, how huge would that be?
Him
and Izzy Stradlin, I stay up at night on where I know Izzy's going to pop out, but like...
I've got an idea for it it's called Finding Vinny, because I bought his box set, and I don't know if you know.
Did it show up?
The box showed up. It was nothing in it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that's what I want the documentary to start out, is you and me.
Nothing was in it. That's amazing.
We open up the box set, and then the next scene is me knocking on his door. If we could find him, go, where's my fucking cassette?
I mean, he's got to be somewhere. Dead wives, dead dogs, stuff. I mean, dude, he's the most fascinating man on the planet.
I don't even know where I would start with the questions with him. I mean, your name's Vinnie Vincent. You get kicked out of the Vinnie Vincent invasion. That seems fucking impossible.
Yeah.
He rescued Kiss's career with Lick It Up. It's basically a Vinnie Vincent solo album.
Yeah.
And even a little bit on Creatures of the Night.
Oh, yeah.
But they had so many guest guitar players on that album. The guy from Mr. Steve, not Steve Lucas.
But I think it's who wrote it, because I think he wrote a lot of that.
He wrote 3 songs. Bryan Adams had a song on.
Brian.
I think Saint and Sinner. No, War Machine.
Which SDP ripped off. I feel like for.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I have almost an unhealthy obsession with Vinnie Vincent, just because so brilliant. But just such a fuck up.
Just.
I mean, was he? Do you think he was one of the at least the early images of that band caused bands like Guns and maybe even Blackboard Jungle to go, okay, we don't want to look that? Was there like?
Oh, dude, when that video came out, I was
Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Oh, it was perfect. It was
that era.
Oh yeah, just like, oh my God, look, dude. I mean, it was blistering. I mean, if you could do it, why all female road crew? Come on, it was amazing.
But was there like a point in time for bands like Blackboard Jungle who came on later in the scene of we don't want to look like that? Warrant's video for Cherry Pie, which I love.
Right.
But I think a few months or maybe a year later, Nirvana's video came out. It's like, oh boy, you look at that video, and then the Cherry Pie video would be the one that it was compared to.
Yeah.
Did you guys like? I mean, what was it like? Trying to.
Well, you learned from Guns. You did learn from Guns that they kind of look like. I think a lot of those bands had stylists. In fact, the guitar player, Blackboard Jungle's current wife, made the white clothes for the Heaven video and some Queensryche clothes. Yeah, she made some of those clothes, and it just. You had the custom clothes. What was it? There was a company that made those pants.
Not Albane for leather.
No. But it was. But those type companies was with the cool studs, and it just it was cool. It's just you kind of realize there was a subculture where you saw Vane or something. Dave would walk around with this fucking leather jacket with just chains and no shirt and jeans, and you we're emulating Guns. You know what I mean? It's just like that was the band that you thought was cool. you'd see, you know, Motorcycle Boy or Saigon Saloon or some of the cooler, slightly older bands and pull from that. And you could, there was sects. There was the Valley sect to me that was like Tommy Gunn, Paradise, who I loved all those bands, but they were like tan and good looking and chiseled and girls loved them. And that was that thing. It was awesome, but we weren't that. So how they somehow had motorcycles and had shit. You know what I mean? Like some of them. I'm not
right.
There's Paradise, and
I had the singer from Paradise.
Yeah, Adam. I loved them. It was just different than us. Then you had the English acid bands that were all, you know, shooting up in their eyeballs and stuff like that. Some of them, and we kind of went to that. And then you had Saigon Saloons, the post Guns N' Roses, Hanoi Rocks bands and stuff like that. The Wild were roommates with Guns, but yeah, and so you just kind of saw where you sit and just pulled a little from each one of what you thought was good and cool.
I mean, you did have, you know, the Valley is often overlooked, place of the Sunset Strip days because you had FM station,
yeah,
you had
Shacks,
the Country Club in Reseda.
Oh God.
Major show, you know, Striper and, you know, Anthrax and pretty much every bit. Poison.
Yeah. I saw Virgin there. Was my first show there. I saw Ricky Rockman was in a band called Virgin. He played, and Nikki Sixx and Eric Stacy showed up, and I just was like floored. And I met Nikki Sixx, and I was a little kid, and he was so fucking cool. I told him this. I said, I've got two heroes, you and Bruce Springsteen. And I was like shaky voice, and he's like, thank you for keeping me in good company. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Fuck. It was like a Tenacious D movie with the fucking
for
pick
sure.
of, you know, Destiny shit.
Now, my goal with every podcast, Britt, is to have people, I like to give them a tasty the first episode.
Okay.
But they go, I want to hear more from this guy.
Okay.
So I don't want to wrap it up, but I guess it's a good place to kind of lead into for the second episode. 100%. Hopefully you'll come back.
You know, maybe we'll bring a special guest. We'll do a Muscat or something.
Oh, I would be humbled and honored.
I'll get him to come. It'd be fun to have the yin yang. It'd be fun to bring one of those guys.
I think at the time I was working at a health club, the manager there was dating him.
Oh my God, dude! When we wrote Old Friend,
it's about 91.
Yes, 24-hour fitness.
That's her.
And he cried. Was her name Rebecca?
Oh, yes.
And he cried because it
brown curly hair.
Made Brent miss her, and we talked about that. He was there when we wrote An Old Friend, and he teared up, and it made him miss Rebecca, and that was where she had worked, and that was the love of his life, and that was crazy.
Wow, I mean,
that's mind blowing.
I don't want to get too. Wow, yeah, she was my manager at the time. I never thought we'd go into this direction. It was called Sports Connection, became 24-hour fitness.
Yes,
and Rebecca was my manager. So
wow,
she put me in charge of the money, which showed you her business school.
There you go,
the skill. But wow, that would be
yeah.
My original question before we got sidetracked was, and I ask Fred from Cinderella, Joey from Warrant, Steven from Rat, was there a point in time where you knew the scene was not necessarily over, but was like, wow, it's
100%
about to change?
100%. I remember it was a week. We were always towards the end getting the scheme of what it would take to be signed and you should play with this band. Got interest. And we played a show. Do you remember Imperial Gardens was called the Roxbury?
There's a pig's dick pork.
Okay. We played there with Incubus. And Incubus were horrible at the time. They were like bad funk. It's nothing like it was. And the Troubadour. And they shipped in all their friends. And it was just like, it was over. And I'll never forget sitting with Toddy. There was a band, Yesterday's Tear. They were also called Drown. Everybody knows Todd Allen. And we were sitting watching Incubus, and I'll never forget, they didn't have a deal or anything, and Todd looked at me and goes, don't worry, Britt. They'll be in the position you're in with no fans and everything in just a few years. It'll be dying for them soon. Obviously not. But that was the changing of the tide. Incubus was, and they did it.
No. I mean, I just...
I knew it was over in time to move. That was I don't know why, just them funking playing their drums and the singer with his dreadlocks and his skateboard. Just watch him skateboard outside of Imperial Gardens, just like the tide has really changed.
I mean, I guess as a fan, when I saw Rat's video for Nobody Writes for Free, it which was on the Point Break soundtrack. It was like they're wearing shorts and
Yeah.
like they're wearing like acid wash jeans.
Dude, we were so confused. We were all I mean, I could play you songs. We all got we thought we were going to kind of segue into grunge. You know, you just thought you could pull it off. You know what I mean? It was, but I just remember also bands talked about this Jesus Lizard. I was like, dude, I just have no idea who that is. And I just saw it like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, some bands, I guess, were a little more successful than others. I mean, Bon Jovi seemed to stay above the fray and not really change their poppy or, I guess you'd say they switched to a little harder stylically, harder for Bon Jovi. I mean, Kiss has always been a master at sticking around the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Carnival of Souls was, nice Stone Temple Pilots record.
Yeah.
And then the reunion, I don't think it mattered. I don't think it would have mattered what music was in style. That reunion was going to kill no matter what.
Yeah.
And then, Rat kind of was in and out. Cinderella kind of took a hiatus. I mean, it was interesting to see, Warrant, I remember, I think they did an album, Ultraphobic, if I'm not mistaken, where they kind of had a grunge look.
Well, my friend signed Soul Asylum, and he loved this era of music at that time. And he said, "You got to remember what all you guys are doing. Skid Row, your band." He goes, "You're saying you're getting heavier. That means more amps and less songs." We're getting heavier. That's what we all thought. We're just confused.
Right.
We were confused as fuck.
I mean, was there like a mad rush to like, cut the hair?
It was. I remember being outside a Tower Video, and it's sweltering here, and dudes are walking with ski caps. It was unbelievable, and I was guilty of growing our goatees. I mean, we were confused as fuck. We're like, just, I mean, like, didn't know what. The first thing was, we'll change our name. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go through all these things, but it was just a mess. It just...
Did you see the movie Rockstar with Marky Mark?
Oh, yeah, masterpiece.
Was that a pretty accurate portrayal of, like, toward the end, he, actually the singer from Slash's band, Miles Kennedy, he gave Miles Kennedy the mic and just walks off. And then he's in a coffee shop in Seattle, like, trying to grunge it
Yeah,
out.
I guess so. You know what's funny? I don't know why more people don't like Rock of Ages. That movie so captured everything for me in that play.
To me, I just loved Rockstar because it didn't do as well.
Oh, dude, Kenny does it. Stand up and shout! Like, what did Kenny used to say that on stage at the reunions? I used to have pictures of these guys on my wall, and now I'm one of them.
I mean, I don't know why that movie didn't do that well, but since we were both in that era, it was like, this is really how it was.
You know what freaks me out about that movie? It's crazy for Kenny and I, is that our first show when I was 14 was at an aerobics center with this band Sanctuary, and when they were playing Ozzy covers and stuff, and the guitar player was utterly incredible. He showed, and I didn't drink. I was in high school, and he didn't drink, so he kind of took a liking to me and showed me how to practice. And we were doing 2 shows within 2 weeks. Within my first shows, it was Zach Wilde, dude. It was Jeff Weiland was his name. So he ends up in that movie, but that movie is almost like more of his story, and he's in that movie. I mean, he got in his band.
Yeah, no, I mean,
from a high school kid at 17, dude, nobody got in bands in New Jersey. I mean, I guess it was Bon Jovi, but that high school kid is in Ozzy's band.
Yeah, he, I was, full disclosure, I'm more of a Jakey Lee man myself.
Oh, of course. And Zach didn't contribute anything more than the pig squeal to me.
But, I recently saw Jake at the Whiskey, and, oh, boy, he played great, but I saw his first show at the Whiskey, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and the singer was, I don't like to criticize musicians because I can't play anything. I certainly can't sing. But he left a little to be desired.
Yeah, something's a mess there every day. It seems like there's always a new lineup change or something.
But, well, I think he's got through like 3 or 4 singers. Red Dragon Cartel is the name of his band.
Is it the same bass player?
Not really. The bass player was Ronnie Mancuso.
Someone was the lawyer or something.
Well, his manager is Ronnie.
Okay.
And so he was there, who was also in that band Beggars and Thieves.
Okay.
I feel like I'm like the Wikipedia of
I love it.
Jakey Lee's band. And then he brought back Craig Chasen from Badlands, and that was great. But then he left, and so now I'm not sure who's in the band, but Jake and the drummer.
Right.
So, but it was a little disappointing because it was a great look into like bands from your era.
Oh God, yeah.
Because it was like, okay, here's your first concert in like 25 years. I mean, you've been off the grid.
Yeah.
You'd think they didn't seem too well rehearsed, to be honest with you. But Jake was still Jake.
Jake, come on, I saw him.
He's a
Bark
star.
The Moon with Crew, Wasted open for Crew, and Crew open for Ozzy. Meadowlands Arena. It was amazing. Bark the Moon tour.
I mean, it was just like that. I don't know what a rock star is, but Jake is it.
Do you remember just seeing that at US Festival? Paranoid. Yeah. Oh, come on.
I mean, the pressure that he was on. First of all, I'm a huge Brad Gillis fan. Who was the?
Oh yeah.
He was Bernie Taupay was the first guitar player after Randy Rhoads, and
right.
He kind of had like a beatnik.
I didn't even see him.
Not many people did. He had apparently like a beatnik Woodstock, hey brother vibe, and they were like, this isn't really working, and so they brought in Brad Gillis. Yeah. Who you can YouTube it or buy it.
Oh, dude, come on! I grew up on that.
Speaking of the devil,
where they hung the midget.
Yeah,
taped that on MTV. When it came out, what the fuck was that?
But I thought he did a great job given the circumstances.
Oh yeah.
And then Night Ranger kind of took off, so I think he left.
No, Davey Vane told me because it's San Francisco. He said, "You know why he left?
Let's get the scoop.
Chicks were better in Night Ranger. Truce. More chicks in Night Ranger."
Well, I guess I could see back then Ozzy would have a male...
predominantly male audience.
That's crazy that you would leave Ozzy Osbourne's band just to get more pussy.
Yeah.
Well,
that's more money by the end, too.
Well, yeah, I know how the Osbournes, one in particular, worked. I mean, I think that was Jake's problem. Like, he was like, I wrote the last 2 albums.
Yeah, I was friends with Phil Soussan. Kenny was actually really close. Kenny had it from Blackwood Jungle, did an album with Phil Soussan producing it, and it just sounds like it's unbelievable. It's a deal with the devil, no pun intended.
Yeah, no, that should be the name of his next album. It's like, it's kind of like the Vinnie Vincent syndrome with Kiss, where Jesus Christ, he just rescued you guys with this album, Lick It Up. Yeah. Jake comes along, writes most of Bark at the Moon with, I think, Bob Daisley, and definitely all of Ultimate Sin, and you just. I don't know.
I mean, you read the Eric Carr book, right? Did you read that book?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about living on Palm and he's going to Paul's and he's got an elevator in his house. I mean, you got to go. Like, come on. I mean, where's...
I mean, that's, it's fan. That's why sometimes I don't want to meet anyone. Like Vinny, in one of his few interviews you could find, was like, I'm writing Lick It Up. It's basically my solo album. And I'm staying at a Fleabag hotel in New York while Gene and Paul are taking limos. And, that's their. I mean, it's their band, I guess, but you'd think they'd, maybe treat people a little better. And I guess Jake's problem was when they wanted to do the Randy Rhoads tribute record. He's like, "Well, I'm in the band now. What about me?"
Sense, yeah.
So who knows? I mean, but
it's all fun stuff, man. It's all our metal Trekkie stuff we love.
Oh, I love it. I mean, you wouldn't be on this couch if it weren't for our. What I like about you too is you weren't just there, but you're a fan.
Oh God, yeah.
Some guy, I met Gene a few times, and he's a very, very nice guy, but he doesn't strike me as being a fan. He's like, I'm Gene Simmons, I play, and now how much money did the stock market fall or rise today? But it's neat to see someone who's a fan, too.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, I have the names on the back of some of those thank you lists on Too Fast for Love just memorized.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, the notes. And I learned how to write. My handwriting is based on notes on a Live One.
Oh my God! I mean,
that's how I literally my handwriting is based on that.
I mean, Kiss, they were like our Beatles. I mean, they were that big, and it's too bad they imploded.
Yeah, it's great to see him again, but it's great to see me. I love him, man. I love Tommy Thayer. I think he fucking adds. I mean, Ace is great, but Tommy Thayer kills it, man. I love Tommy Thayer.
Oh yeah,
he understands Kiss more than Kiss.
I mean, I love Black and Blue.
How great! I mean, hey, Black and Blue fact. That's how Bon Jovi found his producer for Slippery When Wet. Bruce Fairbairn was
He
loved the production on Black and Blue,
and who also did. He was the producer on Psycho Circus, which.
Dude, I didn't realize how good of a song Psycho Circus was. It took me a while, but now that they open with that, I like the the stage directions, the directions.
It's not really a Kiss song, but it's Paul.
Right. But the directions, here I am, there you are, I really get into it. Last summer I saw him 2 times on that tour. I was like, found a new love for that.
I love that song, and I think Kevin Valentine's drumming is very nice on it. Come on.
Oh man.
But we could. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yes,
to,
we got days to go.
To cover the ghost musicians on Kiss records.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that the bass player on most of the mid '80s Kiss albums was Jean Beauvoir.
Gene Beauvoir. Oh, I love him.
From the Plasmatics.
Little Steven.
Yeah, right. And
Wendy O. Williams.
And, he owes me a couple autographed pictures that I gave him. He never got back to me. But
that's why I didn't know. Drums Along the Mohawk. I love that record.
That and his song off the Stallone movie, Cobra, Feel the Heat.
Feel the Heat, yes. Oh, my God. I'm going to have to go revisit that.
And I don't want to make him any money because he did me wrong on some memorabilia, but I will say that his band, Crown of Thorns, they've released like 7 albums.
Okay.
And all good. I'll be honest. I won't let my bitterness towards a bad merch deal gone wrong. But we're not going to plug Crown of Thorns. Where can people get Blackboard Jungle stuff, Britt?
Let me, you know what? DemonDollRecords.com.
And Facebook, there's a Blackboard
Jungle Band, yeah.
And do you have a personal site you want people to go to, like Twitter or Facebook? Or?
No, I'm good. I'm good right now. I'm good right
love
now.
It.
I'm good right now.
Anti-social media.
I really do. And my friends, they all think that I'm on it and going sideways, but I just, and it's not because I get sucked in, man.
I hate it.
Looking at my old girl, it causes trouble.
I hate social media.
Trouble, yeah, right.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
But
it's needed for comedy. Come on.
But even for bands, you look at.
I'm going to tell you my idea I'm going to tell you for the next when we put these mics down that by the time I come back, I'll tell you my new idea.
You definitely, if you will come back.
I will. But wait till you hear this idea.
I'm telling you. It's. I hate, social media is like online panhandling.
Yes.
Especially with Kickstarter now. There's legitimate panhandling online.
My favorite Kickstarter is when I know all these dudes that own their own studio and they do Kickstarter campaigns to fund their own album. Like, what the fuck is that?
Who was it? It wasn't Dawkins. But it was a band like Dawkins who said for $80,000, we could pump out a new record. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not very technologically savvy, but I know just on the setup I have right now, you could probably release a CD.
Yes.
It might not. It's no Pro Tools. But,
Right.
My favorite Kickstarter is the Quiet Riot documentary.
Dude, that was awesome, though.
Great. I thought toward the end it became almost a little too much about Frankie Banali.
Why is quick question?
Please.
Why is every rocker obsessed with Asian shit and like swords and shit?
Right.
And sushi. I like sushi, but they're all obsessed with Asian. Is it because all our bands were so bigger there, and it reminds you? I don't know, but there's
I think it's the weed.
Oh, okay.
But they, how Kickstarter works.
Yes.
If Blackboard Jungle ever did a Kickstarter, it would be like, well, for $10 you get, Kenny and Britt to sign a CD. For $100 you get to
write a song for you about your child and babysit.
Quiet Riot's documentary. Now they got it made, so it must have worked.
Yeah.
For $100 you get autographed Chuck Wright, bass.
The kid didn't want him to sign the album.
I know. Who are you? I played on the album. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. That was the saddest part of it. But for $500 you got to go to the premiere. For $1,000 you got a letter from Kevin Dubrows' mom. But for $10,000 you got to actually be in the documentary, which is crazy to me that someone like me who has nothing to do with the band, if you had 10 grand, got to be in the documentary. So the next day I started a Kickstarter to do a documentary on the guy who gave $10,000 to be in the documentary.
Oh, did you That's amazing.
Yeah, and I actually got money. I gave it back.
Oh, that's amazing. Dude, that's amazing.
But if you watch the documentary, which you have, there's a part toward the end of the documentary where they interview this fan, and it went on for like 5 minutes, and it was like, why is this guy has nothing to do with anything. It's like, this is the guy who gave him 10
That's
grand.
amazing.
So,
Brent had me I did a Cat Club jam once. We did bathroom wall with his Sin City Sinners with Frankie Benali on drums and me on bass, and I was like flipping out that it was like the drummer that I saw open up for Iron Maiden when I was a kid, and I was like flipping out, and he just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get him on the podcast, but I could just tell he would not. Like, you've been on, we're almost at 2 hours, and I could go another hour with you.
Yes.
And I'm very lucky. Most of the guests, except for one, which I'll tell you off air, was a bit of a struggle. They get what I'm doing. They get I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Hopefully you found what I did respectful.
You walk in here, you've earned your stripes. You're not fooling around. 9 layers deep.
Well, listen, being a comic or a podcaster or both, a musician, having a podcast these days is a lot like being in a band in the late 80s. Everyone says they're in a band.
Right.
Everyone has a podcast. And what I love about a podcast is I only deal with who I want to deal with.
Exactly.
But the bad thing about it is they are so simple to do that everyone can do it. So you have to stand out.
Yeah, and it's hard to be yourself. Bill Burr said that great about comedians, and you can tell it's hard to be yourself. The same guy you were in the lunchroom. That's the struggle. So just be yourselves, and we're being ourselves.
That's what I want this podcast to be. Just hopefully people listen. It's two guys talking. One guy a fan. One guy who was there, who did it.
Yeah.
And hopefully you like it. And if you do, review us on iTunes and SoundCloud. It's just Inappropriate Earl. Britt's been an amazing guest. And this is the part where I usually say follow him on Twitter and Instagram, but he's outlaw.
Oh, wow.
But go to iTunes, Blackboard Jungle. They've got some, I think, 4 records on there. Demon Doll Records. You can get the Nikki Sixx shirt, or can they get that there?
That's on the
Facebook page.
Facebook page, yeah.
So look up Blackboard Jungle, the band, on Facebook, and this will be out Monday. And please, I know Stevie will put it on Metal Sludge, share it and retweet it and all that shit. This is the panhandling I have to do.
Fuck yeah.
And let's expose Blackboard Jungle and Britt to the masses because he's coming back. And my name is Earl. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's just Earl Skakel. If I have to spell my name for you now, 79 episodes in, I don't want you following me in the first place. But thank you guys for the support.
Thank
Inappropriate Earl, episode 79. Done.